I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack.
Your clothes. Give them to me. Now.
Fuck you, asshole!
Hey guys, today on What to Watch Before You Die, it's the action-packed sci-fi that launched James Cameron's career with only his second film ever, The Terminator.
Listen, I need you to come pick me up. My bike just broke down. I don't care what you're doing. Come and get me. What the?
What?
Hey, man. You got a serious attitude problem.
In the not-too-distant future of 2029, mankind has been taken over by evil cybernetic organisms, not to be confused with straight-up robots. Meanwhile, back in the 80s, a cyborg known as the Terminator has teleported back to 1984 to kill Sarah Connor, the mother of John Connor, the soon-to-be-born leader of the future human resistance movement. Here's why to watch.
Come with me if you want to live.
The unstoppable T-800 is arguably Arnold Schwarzenegger's best role ever. I know. Twins was pretty great, but his matter-of-fact I'll be back delivery and creepy blank stare throughout the film will forever be burned into my brain.
I'll be back.
Maybe it's his beyond perfect physique, and the fact that he doesn't actually have to talk that much. And when he does, his accent is fittingly disorienting.
You asshole.
But Schwarzenegger has you truly believing his insides are entirely made of metal. Schwarzenegger and Cameron's biggest argument happened to be over the "I'll be back" line, as Arnold wanted it to be "I will be back" to sound more robotic, to which Cameron said, "I don't tell you how to act, so don't tell me how to write." Bitch. O.J. Simpson was initially up for the role, until Schwarzenegger persuaded Cameron otherwise. That would have been so weird. The Terminator is the ultimate villain, as he's virtually indestructible. After getting shot at, set on fire, blown into pieces and more, he never backs down. He's a man on a mission, and that's pretty admirable. If only he could harness that for good instead of evil.
Come with me if you want to live.
I've got to admit that my favorite part is when Arnold plucks his own eye out. Where most people cover their eyes with that kind of blood and guts stuff, I'm the weirdo on the edge of her seat, totally loving it with this weird creepy giggle that comes out of nowhere. And I'm like sitting there alone, going A lot of people argue that the eye-cutting scene is an homage to Buñuel's Un Chien Andalou, which you've probably heard me talk about like 100 times because, again, I'm a freak.
So, was it John that sent you here?
I volunteered.
Why?
There's a chance to meet the legend. Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor, played by, in my book, one of the coolest actresses ever, Linda Hamilton, has a total character transformation. She starts out as a shy young woman who can't even balance her own checkbook. Then, through the trauma and struggle and meeting Kyle Reese, the man who's traveled back in time to protect her, she becomes the take-nothing-from-nobody gal who by T2 is totally badass. The film has so many subtle references that it's easy to make connections between The Terminator and the likes of Arthur Ray Bradbury or 2001: A Space Odyssey, Star Wars, Frankenstein, and even the savior, John Carter, aka JC. See where I'm going here? Yeah, it's a snarky story filled with a lot of awesome action, but it shares some poignant themes with previous works, examining personal anxieties of loneliness and insignificance, as well as societal fears of suppression and extinction.
He'll find her! That's what he does! That's all he does!
If you don't already know, director James Cameron started out believing that his career would mostly be in visual effects, and he got his big break by getting worms to move by basically electrocuting them when he called action. This landed him the role of replacement director on Piranha 2, and the rest was history.
This is fucking great.
Starting out as a total nobody, on the Roger Corman set Battle Beyond the Stars, Corman met Terminator producer and co-writer Gail Ann Hurd, who recognized Cameron's talent immediately and convinced Corman to move him to run the art department on the film.
Hey, my turn.
Cameron also met Bill Paxton in Corman's art department, and as the story goes, one night Cameron started telling Paxton about a screenplay he was working on, where a cyborg from the future comes back to the present to kill the woman who's going to give birth to a son, who in the future is going to lead a revolution against the machines. Paxton was later cast as one of the punks in the beginning of the film. Cameron's visual effects expertise are incredibly apparent in all of his films, but his miniatures and matte backgrounds in Terminator are reminiscent of a bygone era. It may feel a bit dated, but it's certainly something to appreciate when watching it 30 years later. While the movie opened at number 1, it didn't even make the year's top 20 list. Finally finding its stride in the at-home market, Cameron went on to make T2, which led to a giant franchise including 3 movies, a TV show, and the upcoming Genisys. Have you watched them all? What are your thoughts on Genisys? Do we think it's gonna be just another crappy remake or maybe really good? Subscribe to CineFix for more What to Watch Before You Die in conjunction with Sundance TV every Thursday. Follow me on Insta @MacWall and #WhatToWatchBud to suggest more movies.
I'll be back. I'll be back.